The first we hear about the Horn of Winter is in the book A Clash of Kings. Jon Snow and Lord Commander Mormont are discussing Mance Radar and then talk of historic Kings Beyond the Wal. Mormont says, "Aye, and long before them came the Horned Lord and the brother kings Gendel and Gorne, and in ancient days Joramun, who blew the Horn of Winter and woke giants from the earth. Each man of them broke his strength on the wall, or was broken by the power of Winterfell on the far side." Later, in A Storm of Swords, we learn that Mance Radar has been searching for the Horn of Winter. "If I sound the Horn of Winter, the wall will fall." So according to Mormont's legend, blowing the horn will wake giants from the earth, and according to Mance, it has the power to bring down the wall. So after the Wildlings attack the wall, Jon goes to meet with Mance, and Mance claims a giant horn he has is the Horn of Winter, but then Stannis turns up, defeats the Wildlings, captures Mance, and Melisandre ends up burning the horn. After though, Tormund tells Jon, "She burned that big fine horn, aye. A bloody sin I call it. 1,000 years old that was. We found it in a giant's grave, and no man of us had ever seen a horn so big. That must have been why Mance got the notion to tell you it were Joramun's. He wanted you crows to think he had the power to blow your bloody wall down about your knees. But we never found the true horn, not for all our digging." So Mance and the Wildlings never found the horn, so that seems like the end of it, right? Well, actually no, because a horn was found. So we need to go back to A Clash of Kings, and the Night's Watch are making camp at the Fist of the First Men. Jon Snow is hungry, so he goes by the fire to get something to eat, and some of the Night's Watch men are talking. "What is it you smell, Darwin?" asked Gren. The forester sucked on his spoon a moment. He had taken out his teeth. His face was leathery and wrinkled, his hand gnarled as old roots.
"Seems to me it smells, well, cold."
"Your head's as wooden as your teeth," Hake told him. "There's no smell to cold." "There is," thought Jon, remembering the night in the Lord Commander's chambers. "It smells like death." After this conversation, Jon loses his appetite and goes back to his tent to sleep, but is woken by his wolf, Ghost. The dire wolf circled the fire, sniffing Jon, sniffing the wind, never still. It did not seem as if he were after meat right now. When dead men came walking, Ghost knew. He woke me, warned me. The dire wolf loped off, stopped, looked back. He wants me to follow. So Jon gets up and follows him, out of camp and down the Fist of the First Men, then loses sight of him. A soft scrabbling noise made him turn. Jon moved towards the sound, stepping carefully among boulders and thorn bushes. Behind a fallen tree, he came on Ghost again. The dire wolf was digging furiously, kicking up dirt. He knelt and jammed a torch into the ground beside him. The soil was loose, sandy. Jon pulled it out by the fistful. There were no stones, no roots. Whatever was here had been put here recently. A length of frayed rope bound the bundle together. Jon unsheathed his dagger and cut it, groped for the edges of the cloth and pulled. The bundle turned, and its contents spilled out onto the ground. Glittering dark and bright, he saw a dozen knives, leaf-shaped spearheads, numerous arrowheads. Beneath the dragon glass was an old war horn, made from an oryx horn and banded in bronze. Jon pulled up a corner of the cloth the weapons had been wrapped in, rubbing it between his fingers. Good wool, thick, a double weave, damp but not rotted. It could not have been long in the ground. Even before Jon stood and shook it out, he knew what he had. The black cloak of a sworn brother of the Night's Watch. So let's make sense of this story. Tywin smelt cold, and it reminded Jon of the White at Castle Black. Then he was woken by Ghost to warn him that dead men were walking. Then Jon finds a freshly buried bundle in a Night's Watch cloak. So what character do we know that's like a White and also a brother of the Night's Watch? Cold Hands. It's also interesting to note that it was no accident Jon found the bundle. He was led directly there by Ghost. On the way, he remarks the wolf looks fierce and terrible for an instant. My guess is that Ghost is uneasy because he was being controlled. By who? The three-eyed crow, Bloodraven. So the whole event seems clearly orchestrated by Bloodraven. The bundle contained dragonglass, a weapon to fight the others, which makes sense to give to Jon. But why the old war horn? It must be important. You may be wondering what happened to the horn. It was given to Samwell Tarly. The war horn he had given to Sam. On closer examination, the horn had proved cracked, and even after he had cleaned all the dirt out, Jon had been unable to get any sound from it. Later, when Sam is travelling to the Citadel, he has to try and haggle to book a ship from Bravos to Old Town. He ends up trading nearly all his possessions to pay for the ship, and it's said, by the time the dealing was done, Sam was down to his boots, blacks and small clothes, and the broken horn Jon Snow had found on the fist of the first men. And that's the last we hear of it, but it's interesting that Sam loses everything apart from the horn. And I think it's also interesting to note that Sam and Gilly were helped back to the wall by Cold Hands. Why did he help them? Is he just a nice guy, or was there another reason? I would assume he knew that Sam had the horn. Now we know that Jon tried blowing the horn and nothing happened. So maybe a component is missing, or it needs to be fixed, and that is Sam's true task. I'm starting to wonder if the whole idea of Sam leaving the wall was orchestrated by Bloodraven, and unbeknownst to him, it's actually a secret mission. We are told it's Maester Aemon and Jon's idea, but maybe the idea was planted in their sleep. I did actually look for evidence of this, but couldn't find any, so it's just pure speculation. One theory I do have is we know that blood magic, especially with King's blood, is the strongest kind of magic, so maybe taking Maester Aemon and him dying was what was needed to give power to the horn. So what do you guys think? Did this all make sense? Do you have a different theory? Please comment below and let me know. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe.